I saw Nightcrawler. This is the new Jake Gyllenhaal film.
Horrible name. Horrible name.
There's a reason for the title.
Okay, all right.
It stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Lou Bloom. He's a young man with no job, no friends, really no prospects. And he makes a living by stealing scrap metal and selling the materials on construction sites. And on his way home one night from one of these construction sites, he sees an accident, a car on fire on the side of the road. And he pulls over to watch the police officers pull the bodies out of the car. And as he's standing there watching the carnage, a van pulls up and two men run out of the van and start filming the scene. And Lou immediately becomes fascinated with the men rather than the accident and what they're doing. He begins to essentially interrogate the men about their jobs, learns that news crews in LA will buy news footage from independent contractors to try to get a leg up on their competition. So Lou then decides, seemingly right away, this is what he was put on Earth to do, that being a news stringer is his calling. He buys a camera and he begins to film footage, and his first night on the job, he actually comes away with a great piece of tape and drives to the nearest station, and he attempts to sell his footage to the news director of the station, who's played by Rene Russo, and here's a clip.
You my fill-in operator?
I don't think so. I'm Lou Bloom. I have some footage for sale.
A stringer?
What?
Who do you work for?
At the moment, I work for myself.
Okay, well, see Frank out there the way you came. What's the time to?
106.
What do you have?
Something I'm fairly certain you'll be very excited about.
And you can hear right there in how Jake Gyllenhaal as Lou Bloom speaks. There's a rhythm. It's very structured. It's very thought out. Every word is picked for a very specific reason. It has a musicality to it that's very hypnotic over the course of the film. You're almost in a trance every time he speaks. And it gives a lot of insight to the methodical nature of the character. And eventually Lou starts working his way up the ladder of being a cameraman for hire and becomes one of the best in the game very quickly, but that's not really enough for him. He just doesn't want to be the best. He wants the recognition that comes with being the best. And the only way to do that is to continue to get better and better footage. And he then begins to suddenly manipulate crime scenes. He doesn't commit the crimes.
Oh,
That's an important distinction.
All right.
But if he arrives at a scene before the police show up, he'll move bodies. He'll move evidence. He'll do kind of whatever it takes to get the best shot possible. And then the situation becomes, how far is too far for Bloom? And is there any line he won't cross to get that big money shot?
So this is not a horror film.
It's a thriller is
Okay.
how I would kind of categorize it. It does have, though, some tenets of a horror film in it. An unsettling character who seemingly has no regard for humanity, has no respect for life, really thinks about himself and his actions, and it's just about what he can do to become the best, and anyone he can step on, anyone he can destroy that gets in his way, he's willing to do that. So it's not a horror film per se, but it does have tenets of someone who is deeply, deeply disturbed.
All right, and what do you think?
I saw this movie with a friend and his girlfriend, and we all kind of came away with the same conclusion of the film, is that it's extremely well acted, it's extremely well written, the photography is beautiful, the whole movie takes place in LA, and I'd say a good 80-85% of the film takes place at night in LA, and it really pops off the screen. We haven't seen LA at night filmed this well since Michael Mann did Collateral about a decade ago, and even with all that going for it, I never want to see this movie again. It's a fantastic movie. It's very well done. Jake Gyllenhaal and Rene Russo probably give the best performances of their career, respectfully. It's just the character of Lou Bloom is so unlikable. I found myself cheering against him. But yeah, I wanted to see what he was going to do next. That's kind of the compelling nature of the character. But then you get to the end, and there's a moment at the end. I'm not going to give it away. And in that moment, I said, you know what? I don't need to see this guy anymore. I've kind of gone about as far as I'm willing to go down the rabbit hole with Lou Bloom. You're willing to follow him down that rabbit hole even though you're repulsed by him, but then you reach a point where you go, you know what, I know which way I came in. I'm just going to go let myself out. You keep going down that hole. Thanks for the 2 hours that we were together, but you know what? I'm gonna find something else that's a little more entertaining. I had my fill of Lou Bloom. It's a very well done movie, but it's one that ultimately, when it ends, you breathe a sigh of relief and you go, I don't have to see him again. Thank God.
So should I go see it?
I would recommend to people, if you like thrillers, if you like horror films of a non-traditional nature, If you like it, again, great acting, great directing. The cinematography is gorgeous. It's just after a while, you're so repulsed by what he's willing to do to become the best Nightcrawler there is, independent news stringer, that you no longer want to be in the company of this individual. I found myself, the credits rolled and I went, whew, thank God that's over. And I really enjoyed it too.